For years, Moscow viewed war as a distant echo beyond its borders. From the Kremlin's perspective, explosions happened far away, and air raid sirens were background noise confined to frontier towns like Belgorod. The capital was a fortress untouchable, armored in illusions. War existed only through carefully edited news broadcasts and sanitized official reports. But the nights of October 21st and 22nd, 2025 tore through that illusion completely. Russia endured its most devastating missile onslaught since the conflict began. Millions suddenly realized this was no longer a remote special operation viewed on a screen. It was an apocalypse invading their homes. Sirens no longer wailed. Only in the border regions they screamed across Moscow and its sprawling suburbs. The hum in the skies wasn't a drone's buzz anymore. It was the roar of Storm Shadow and new generation Peklo missiles slicing through the air. Simultaneously, catastrophic explosions rocked the Bryansk chemical complex and Saransk mechanical plant, both critical suppliers of ammunition, gunpowder, and rocket fuel to Russia's army. Energy substations in Smolensk and Bryansk, crucial to military power grids, were obliterated. Even a refinery in Makhachkala, nearly 1,200 kilometers away, vital to fueling the Caspian naval base, went up in flames. These Soviet-era industrial giants had sustained entire towns for decades. Overnight, tens of thousands lost their only means of survival. The people who kept Putin's war machine running were left unemployed, uncertain, and betrayed. This wasn't just about burned warehouses or destroyed facilities worth billions. It was about the collapse of an entire system. The unspoken agreement between Putin and the Russian people, stay silent, and we guarantee your income and security, was reduced to ash amid the smoke of Bryansk and the ruins of Saransk. On that October night, this social contract disintegrated under the fiery storm of Storm Shadow, Peklo, Neptune, and Flamingo missiles. To grasp the true scale of this disaster, one must recall an old Soviet term, Monogorod, the single industry city. Towns like Bryansk and Saransk don't have diverse economies. Their entire existence revolves around one colossal factory. Their heart, lungs, and bloodstream. Schools, hospitals, heating, and daily life depend on the smoke rising from those chimneys. And now that smoke has vanished. Independent reports leaking through the cracks of Russian censorship show a catastrophe beyond job loss, an economic paralysis affecting not just plant workers, but thousands of connected trades, logistics, repairs, small merchants, and suppliers. Around 70,000 to 85,000 livelihoods disappeared in a single night. These aren't protesters or dissidents. These are Putin's core supporters, ordinary citizens who kept faith in the system as long as their paychecks arrived. Now, that faith has turned to anger. Leaked posts from Telegram and VK groups reveal panic, fury, and despair. One worker's message read, "Our factory is gone." Another wrote, "Who will feed us now? How will we survive the winter?" This isn't political rebellion, it's the outcry of hunger and betrayal. Putin now faces a crisis without escape, a social implosion that cannot be contained by propaganda. The true cost of the October attacks isn't counted in rubles or facilities lost, but in shattered stability and the ruined futures of thousands of loyal Russians thrown into destitution overnight. Until now, Putin had fought his war in two separate worlds. Soldiers died at the front, while workers safely kept factories running. Ukraine has merged these two realities, turning the production lines themselves into battlegrounds. Ukraine's general staff and Western intelligence confirmed that these were legitimate military targets, the Bryansk chemical plant producing gunpowder and the Saransk mechanical plant manufacturing missile parts. Yet, by embedding these facilities within civilian zones, the Kremlin had transformed its people into human shields. The Russian leadership deliberately built its war infrastructure amid its own population, ensuring that when Ukraine struck, it would also devastate the communities feeding those factories. In doing so, Putin sacrificed his citizens to protect his war machine, a betrayal of his own making. Within this chaos, the Kremlin has cornered itself. There are no victories left, only varying degrees of loss. As missiles rained down on Moscow and surrounding regions, the regime stood isolated, confronted by tens of thousands of angry, unemployed workers. According to Ukrainian military sources, This was the most extensive assault ever on Moscow and its strategic network. A coordinated barrage of drones, fighter jets, and multiple missile systems, including Storm Shadow, Neptune, Flamingo, and Peklo, overwhelmed Russia's defenses. Ukraine's long-range bars and Polonesia UAVs were combat-tested for the first time, and they struck with precision. The Bryansk factory, a linchpin of gunpowder and rocket fuel, was annihilated by Franco-British cruise missiles. Power plants and transformer stations went offline, plunging parts of Smolensk and Bryansk into darkness. The Saransk plant, located 670 kilometers from Ukraine, met the same fate, destroyed, despite being deep inside Russian territory. Even the Makhachkala refinery, lifeline of the Caspian Fleet, was hit. It had produced nearly 1 million tons of fuel annually, powering warships, radar systems, and convoys. With it gone, Moscow faces a logistical nightmare. Refueling the southern fleet is now costly and perilous, with every route under threat of drone attack. For the Russian elite, the myth of Moscow's invincibility has evaporated. For the first time since World War II, the capital itself came under direct missile fire. As sirens blared, Muscovites sought refuge in metro tunnels, while the skies erupted with defense fire. The illusion of safety was gone. Putin's image as the guarantor of order collapsed in real time. Months of meticulous Ukrainian intelligence work had set this stage, flooding Russia's radar with hundreds of decoy drones, forcing its air defenses to waste millions on intercepting cheap targets. Through those blind spots, stealth cruise missiles slipped through, striking the most fortified Soviet bunkers in Bryansk. It was a masterclass in technological warfare, a checkmate in the air. Reports from Russian military bloggers later confirmed Ukraine's use of its own indigenous cruise missiles. Land attack variants of Neptune deployed in sync with storm shadows and drone swarms. The combined assault pierced the S-400 defense shield, proving that even Russia's deepest strongholds were vulnerable. Every facility west of the Urals was now within Ukrainian reach. This was the final phase of a calculated campaign to strangle Russia's military-industrial base. First, Ukraine crippled supply lines and fuel depots. Now it was annihilating the factories themselves. Governor Alexander Bogomar's attempt to dismiss the devastation, no damage, 6 UAVs shot down, was immediately discredited by videos showing the Bryansk plant engulfed in flames. Even state propaganda couldn't cover the truth anymore. Putin's regime appeared powerless and deceitful before its own citizens. The aftermath revealed the depth of Russia's dependence. Facilities like Bryansk and Saransk housed irreplaceable Western-made machinery, CNC systems, alloy reactors, and precision tools worth billions. Destroying them meant losing capabilities that cannot be rebuilt under sanctions. China's low-grade copies can't fill the gap. Rebuilding from scratch would take years Russia doesn't have. The result? A permanent industrial collapse. Unable to retaliate symmetrically, Putin lashed out in desperation, launching hundreds of Shahed drones and Kinjal missiles at Ukraine's civilian power infrastructure. But destroying Kyiv's lights couldn't restore Bryansk's factories or feed Saransk's families. It only highlighted Russia's strategic dead end. This was not revenge, it was the rage of a cornered power. By October 22nd, Russia's so-called superpower facade had crumbled. 3 pillars of the regime fell simultaneously. The elite lost faith in Putin's ability to protect them. Loyal workers realized they'd been sacrificed, and the state lost control of the narrative. The no-damage lie collapsed under the weight of visible destruction. The social contract that once kept the country stable is gone, and with it, the illusion of control. October 21st, 2025, marks the day Russia's myth of invulnerability died. Ukraine's technological precision shattered the industrial heartland, exposed the weakness of its air defenses, and ignited panic from Bryansk to Moscow. The Kremlin can no longer defend its capital, its factories, or the loyalty of its people. This isn't the beginning of Russia's collapse. It is the collapse itself.